Hi, I'm Tracy Milligan, and thank you for joining me this afternoon for the Heroic Business Flash Summit. I am so happy to be a part of this event today and this awesome lineup of speakers. I definitely feel privileged, and I've been enjoying my day so far. I hope you have too. There's just so much information, so many wonderful people that, you know, they're here today to try and give you information and motivate you and inspire you to have a better life, a better career, a better business, and hopefully I can pour into you in that way as well. So first, a little bit about me. I am a mom. I am an entrepreneur and I am a social justice warrior. I'm always down to fight for the little guy and fight for what's right. Um, as you can see in the slide that I'm sharing with you, this picture is of me in kindergarten. Not looking too pleased, but this is one of my favorite pictures of me just thinking, can we get this over with? And in that thinking, in that vein of thought, and the reason why I share that picture is based on my talk today about being resilient. And even though I was just a 5-year-old kid and in kindergarten and sitting on a box to take a picture, sometimes in life we're forced to do things we don't want to do, be in situations we don't want to be in, and we move forward. And so while that's just a minor example of something that happened when I was 5, in life, it happens over and over and over again. And sometimes these situations happen, look, when we're young and they build, and situations can become a bit more harsh and a bit more difficult as you get older. And so that's what I want to talk about. I've talked before in the past about my businesses, which are my nonprofit, which is the Milligan Foundation, my tech company, which is called Turn Payments, and what I call my big baby, Orinda Equal Equity, which mission is to eradicate poverty. But in all of that, I do all these things. They all come from a root of what I've been through, a root of what I've brought myself out of and what I learned while I was in those situations. So while I may talk on so many different subjects, like I said, like politics and nonprofit and policy and domestic violence and technology, and I might touch on some of the things that I've been through in my life, but I never do a deep dive. It doesn't happen. It's just part of the narrative about the business. But today, in talking about being resilient, I want to share some examples of having to go through something and then take power from it, learn from it, and continue to move forward. So first, I'd like to start with my business, and I'm going to tie all my businesses into it so you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So first, with my business of my nonprofit, the Milligan Foundation, that is a organization that I founded almost, or 9 years ago actually. My anniversary was this past April 11th. For 9 years, I've been providing direct services for 8 years. That is a relocation service for victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. Now, I started that business because I'm a domestic violence survivor, and it directly deals with the issues that I ran into when I left my violent relationship. I couldn't get to a shelter. I very naively thought, when the police gave me the information card, that, oh, I can just pick a number. Look at the card, pick the number, and I can go to this shelter because this one might be in an area that I've been curious about, or this one was in this neighborhood where I know it isn't too bad. And I very naively thought that I could just pick one and go. So of course, when I called shelters and asked if I could come, they didn't have space, which is a issue that's national or even international, I should say. There's just not enough shelter space. There's enough family violence going on and women and families looking for a place of safety, a haven, and it's just not enough space. So that's what I ran into. But the part B of what I ran into was that when you have a particularly dangerous abuser, the shelter won't let you come. And that was what happened to me when I called the shelter and told them my background, because they do an assessment to see if you really are in danger or if you're just looking for a semi-comfortable place if you're homeless. But they want to assess, the situation. And so I told them what I was coming out of, what I was dealing with. And I was told, hey, we have space, but you can't come here. You have a person who is actively looking for you to kill you and is willing to hurt other people to do it. So you can't come here because you would be a danger to the other residents in the shelter. Well, at this time, I happened to have 2 children as well. I had my oldest son at the time was 7, and my middle son at the time was only 2 months. And so I lived homeless on the streets of San Francisco with 2 children. I slept in the bus station, I slept in the train station, the BART station, Golden Gate Park, the beach, and hospital waiting room. Hospital waiting room is when I tell my story, sometimes that's the one that gets people. It's like hospital waiting room, and it's because hospitals for me are always a safe place. We're always a place where I was comfortable because my education background was medicine. And so it was just a place of comfort for me. But being a mom and thinking of, okay, where can I go that's safe? I have nowhere to go. I'm standing on a street corner, and this was back when there were still phone booths. I'd used a phone booth to call shelters. And it's like, where can I go that is warm, that has light, where I'll be safe, where my kids will be okay? And it was a hospital. And so I went to Kaiser and stayed there for a couple days. And that may seem odd, but, I had just left my home. So I wasn't dirty. My kids weren't dirty. We looked nice and neat. But who also would question a woman sitting with 2 children, one's a baby, and a bag, in a waiting room asleep? You wouldn't question it because you look at that person and think, oh, well, maybe she's here because a friend of hers or a family member might be having a child, or a friend or family member might be having a surgical procedure. And so I didn't get any questions. It was well lit. It was warm. There was security. It took care of my needs. There's a cafeteria there. I could buy my kids fruit with what little bit of money I had. And it was okay. Clean bathroom. And it was okay. And so I share this because it's part of being resilient, because part of being resilient is thinking of solutions that probably no one else would think about. Finding solutions that fit you specifically and fit what your needs are, what you're going through in perhaps a very unique way. And that's an example of being resilient. So while some other people who are put in that situation may think, okay, standing at a phone booth at night, what the hell am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I thought of a hospital. So it's from that experience and getting to the shelter, being homeless and then getting to a shelter. So obviously, eventually I did make it to a shelter. And the shelter was hundreds of miles away from where I started because that's what I needed to do to be safe. And listening to all the other stories of the women who got there, because this was truly an underground facility specifically for women who were actively being hunted, whose abusers were known to want to take their life or had already taken other lives in pursuit. And so listening to those stories, there was one woman who literally hitchhiked across the country. So again, that's another story of being resilient. It's like, I know where I need to be safe. I don't have a way to get there. I don't have money. I don't have a car. I don't have any resources. So I'm going to do what it takes to get me from point A to point B. I'm going to do what it takes for me to get to where I need to be safe. And so walking, because hitchhiking isn't always safe. I don't know about you, but for me, I've hitchhiked before, and I've actually picked up hitchhikers, much to my husband's dismay. He's like, "Oh my God, Tracy, why do you do that?" And it's like, just because I know that. I don't think everybody's evil. I don't think that, I'm gonna pick up Jason Slasher, even though I know some people have in life, but it is what it is. But once you understand and you know the trials, the tribulation, the struggle, you can't ignore it. You just can't. And so it was through those years that I decided, okay, when I get on my feet, when I get myself together, I'm going to start an organization that gets people who need to go to shelters to a shelter. And that's it. And trust me, it wasn't easy to start. Not at all. Because what I was offering isn't offered anywhere else in the United States. Not to the scale. I mean, there are some organizations that'll give you a bus ticket. That's it. They won't house you. They won't move you cross country or out of the country, as my organization does. But I do that because I realize that that's what it takes to be safe. So again, I've had to, even in my business for my nonprofit, I've had to, this one, mortgage my house to pay for services. I've had to, of course, if I did that, put my own utilities, my own bills on payment plans, because I've had to pay for things that I didn't get donations for. And there's been so many times I've cried with my clients where we've put our heads together and come up with solutions on being safe. It's like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna fix your car. We're going to plane, train, and automobile, and I mean that sincerely. It's like, we've got to get from point A to point B, and we've got to do it with very little resources. So we're going to take Uber to this city, and then from this city we're going to take a bus to here so we can get on a train, and then get on a train and go from here to there, and then maybe if we have to, get on an airplane too. So again, the heart, the fortitude, the strength that it takes to make decisions for you to continue to move yourself forward. And sometimes there is a cost, and you have to figure out within yourself, what is that cost? What are you willing to do, to give of yourself, to sacrifice, to reach your goals? So, like I said, my foundation, my nonprofit organization, has been around for 9 years now, and have moved over 800 people around the world with its service. Now, my other business, I'll jump to the big baby. We'll leave the technology company out of this. I'll mention that one at the end. So the big baby is Orinda Equal Equity. And like I said at the beginning, it is poverty eradication. Now, that is a huge topic. It's something that exists all over the world, in every country. And I've had people look at me like, are you crazy? For trying to basically solve one of the world's biggest issues. Do you really think you can do it? And again, hell yeah, I can do it. I know I have to do it with other people, but somebody has to try and try in earnest. And again, think outside of the box. And sometimes I hate even using that term, thinking outside of the box. But sometimes, in order to get things done, you cannot go by the rules. You can't go by the status quo. You can't go by accepted norms. You can't follow a game plan or the known and recognized map of doing things. You have to think differently. So this is all of my experiences put together. This is the experience of needing a home. This is the experience of making $5 last an entire week. This is the experience of me having what I like to jokingly call my early midlife crisis and becoming a construction worker. Yes, I'm actually a plumber. I work buildings. I build buildings. Best time of my life doing that. But it's the combination of all of my life experiences, everything that I've learned from my time in fashion and being homeless and working in entertainment and now technology and just life on the edge sometimes. When you look at problems and you think, where's the root? Find the root. That's how you solve problems. And then you ask yourself, okay, here's my root. What would make this better? What would eliminate this root? How can I, if this is a weed, this root is a weed, if I could pull this up, what would it take to pull this up? Ask yourself that question, and no matter how crazy the answer is, that's your answer. So, I will go back to this. No matter how crazy of an answer it is, that's your answer. And I'd like to underline and highlight the word yours. Now, we're all on social media, and you've seen probably a ton of memes in your life, probably thousands at this point. And there's one that kind of goes, you can't judge someone else's journey because that's their journey, or their story because that's their story. Same thing with answers, with solutions, with what it takes for you to be resilient, or how being resilient shows up in your life. Those are your answers to your questions. So by talking to someone else, sure, sometimes it's good to have another person as a sounding board, because trust me, I have my group of friends that I bounce ideas off of. But also try to realize that sometimes that sounding board is exactly that, is you saying something, it bouncing back at you just because you need to hear your own voice, because you already know inside what's right, what's wrong, what will work, what won't work. your motivations, if your motivations are pure, if they're not pure, you already know that inside. So, also, part of being resilient is knowing that and accepting what's inside of you and how it comes out, and being good with that, being all right with that. And I'm not saying that all right with that means that you're smiling, you're happy, you can cruise right along, because sometimes when you look at yourself and you acknowledge those truths can break you down, can put you on your knees and have you crying and have you saying, oh goodness, let me go sit in this corner and not move. But you move anyway. Stay strong and sit with who you are. Those answers that come up, let those be your answers that don't have to be validated by anyone else. And with those answers, create your solution and move forward. So, last business. Term payments is the solution. Get a little bit light here. So, term payments came about because my nonprofit. I'm helping people all over the place, but not enough money. Needs more money. Like every other nonprofit, we need more money, but really need more money. And I needed a way to make money to help my nonprofit. So one night, I was retail therapy online, swiping. I was like, what's this? And I saw something that I wanted, and I thought, oh man, that would be great to have if they had layaway. I could get it if they had layaway. Man, I wish there was layaway online. And ding, idea. And there was term payments. That's when term payments was born. And so that, again, being resilient. If some of you are old enough to know what layaway is or familiar with it, or live in an area where layaway is still available to you at, say, a Walmart or a J.C. Penney's or a Sears, that's an easy way to get something if you don't have the money to do it. Again, the company is based on wanting something or needing something and having to try and find a way. I wanted something online, thought, how could I do this? How could I get this? How could I make this happen? And now I'm making it happen. Bringing layaway to online, to all online retailers. Look, we gotta keep it positive, right? That's what we're doing today. We're staying positive about all of our dreams and our aspirations and our goals. And there will be a term payment button on every single e-commerce website. Just like there's a PayPal button, there's going to be a term payment button so that you can shop online and put things on layaway. Doesn't matter what it is. Won't matter whether you have a job. Won't matter whether or not you have a bank account. Won't matter if you don't have any credit. That's the point. It's still to enable you, to provide you with a vehicle for you to get what you need. So even in that is the foundation to being resilient, maybe for someone else, for them to get what they want, to move them ahead. Not just an aspirational item, because, you think about layaway, you think about maybe jewelry. Guy wants to buy his lady a nice diamond to propose, a nice ring to propose, but he doesn't have the credit to do it, no credit card to do it. He can put the ring on layaway. Or flip that coin, same side, bride. Hey, some of us are shoe girls and we love our shoes and we want to have that special pair of shoes on our day. But, same thing. Don't have the credit to buy those Jimmy Choos or Louboutins or Pradas or YSLs or gosh, anything, it's the wedding day. We want it to be special, right? So, but even that can create a foundation for something. And that's the point. And that's my point, is I'm here to help anyone in every way I possibly can. No matter where you are in life, no matter what you do, I'm here to help you try to find a solution or come up with a solution for you, because sometimes you get stuck. And trust me, I get stuck, and sometimes it's, again, you want to just go sit in the corner and go, goodness gracious, why? But we keep moving forward. And so I hope this talk has inspired you a little bit to find your solutions. Trust in the solutions that come from your heart. Trust them enough to act on them, to move forward with them, no matter how crazy, because what's right for you is what's right for you. And remember that. Stay strong out there, and I wish all of you much, much success. Bye.